Hi. Didn't see you there. Have you heard of Supplies Overseas? It's a small nonprofit organization that was founded in 1993 by a small group of Louisville doctors. Now, it was founded in the small community of Clifton, just outside of Louisville. Now, they collect unused and expired medical surplus, and they sort it, categorize it, and distribute it to medical outposts in developing nations. Now, to show this, I've drawn this nice little graphic. They accept the medical surplus from local area hospitals, and then they take it to their warehouse, where they sort it and box it, and then they ship it to developing nations overseas that really require their donations. Now, it's hard to believe that they could do all of this, but their mission says it perfectly. Now, Supplies Overseas meets critical healthcare needs in developing countries around the world by recovering and redistributing surplus medical supplies and equipment. SOS promotes environmental stewardship by partnering with hospitals and others to recover and send what would otherwise go to the landfill.
While there, we would pick through the supplies, searching for expired items, where we throw into what's known as the hand carry. The hand carry can be used even though it is expired by the doctors traveling. Unexpired items are collected and packaged to be sold in their store to the doctors going over borders. These unexpired items are highly valuable to them because they could be used in any type of situation, surgical or non-surgical. Once these are picked through, we package them and they're stored until a doctor or nurse needs them to go across borders in their mission.
Supplies Overseas carries out their mission in 4 ways. Now, the first way they do this is by their hand carry program. Now, they do this by allowing people to come in to their medical team store and bring a suitcase, and they fill it with up to 50 pounds of medical equipment. Now, a donation of $50 is requested, and that pays for the supplies and overhead for Supplies Overseas. The second way that they do this is through their custom box program. Now, this is for those who can't visit the medical team store, and Supplies Overseas packs and ships the box to them up to 40 pounds. A donation of $100 is suggested for this. Now, the next program is the custom pallet program, and that contains $5,000 to $15,000 worth of supplies. A donation of $625 is suggested, and this is for clinics or hospitals abroad, and volunteers can come in and either get this pallet packed with what they want, or they can have Supplies Overseas do it. The last program is the container shipment program, and that is a 40-foot container that is on a large boat. It weighs 6 to 8 tons, and it could have anywhere from $150,000 to $350,000 worth of supplies. A $12,500 donation is requested for this, and this could have any type of equipment that they desire. This could go to Haiti after the earthquake that they had, or to the Philippines when a typhoon comes through. It could be anything.
Supplies Overseas not only helps people abroad, but here in the community too. They support education by providing expired materials to medical and nursing educators to help stretch limited classroom resources. And they help personal hygiene by supporting regional shelters, social service organizations, and providing personal hygiene items that might not be appropriate to take on an international medical trip. And they help little Fido here too. They support animal welfare organizations by providing expired supplies to free and affordable animal welfare groups. The impact is twofold. Not only are they helping people abroad, but they're saving the environment too. If you think about it, over 6 million tons of medical waste goes through the United States each year, and it's even more if you consider the rest of the world. This consists of mostly unused or underused medical equipment that Supplies Overseas collects, repackages, and donates. This is a lot of waste that we're saving.
Catholic social teaching and SOS. Catholic social teaching is made up of 7 traditional beliefs. The first principle is the life and dignity of the human person. Now, this principle states that human life is sacred and that the dignity of the human person is the foundation of a moral vision for society. This means that every human being on earth is entitled to the same amount of dignity, no matter what. Now, this really means a lot because it's saying that, say, a girl in Africa, in the slums of, say, Darfur, has the same dignity as a rich man in the United States. They're entitled to the same opportunities. The problem is, human life doesn't always afford them the same opportunities. So the life and dignity of the human person suggests that we should change that. Supplies Overseas aims to do that by offering opportunities and medical equipment to anyone, no matter what. They do this through the programs I mentioned earlier, by donating supplies and money in person as well. Now, the life and dignity of the human person is threatened by war, poverty, all kinds of problems. But SOS seeks to mitigate the damages that those problems cause. The second principle that Supplies Overseas conforms to is the option for the poor and vulnerable. Now, I think we can safely assume that society's, I would say, value is measured by those that are the most poor and vulnerable. What I mean to say is that society isn't worth very much if there are people who are poor and vulnerable and people who are rich and powerful. They should have the same opportunities, just like I said, in the life and dignity of the human person. Now, the option for the poor and vulnerable says that we should give them the same opportunities we give everyone else. They're actually entitled to more care because of their position. Supplies Overseas agrees with this, and by donating supplies and their time, they try and change this. They try and lessen the gap between the rich and the poor. I think that Supplies Overseas does a great job of conforming to the principles of Catholic social teaching.
Thanks, Andrew. But there are several more principles that Supplies Overseas takes into account. Let's go through those now. Firstly, we have call to family and community participation. The Catholic Church teaches us that we are sacred and social, so we need to keep in mind other people's during our work. Firstly, it says that we are together seeking the common good and well-being of all, especially the poor and vulnerable. Obviously, Supply Overseas takes this into account. Each volunteer that shows up every Saturday and Sunday has this in mind while they're helping to pack and organize these supplies that will eventually save lives. Secondly, we have rights and responsibilities. The Catholic tradition says dignity can be protected and a healthy community can be achieved if human rights are protected and responsibilities are met. We, as people, have responsibilities to protect the rights of others. The right to life is one of the most important. Obviously, these medical supplies are saving these lives, and we, as volunteers, helped to save their lives by helping to pack and organize them at Supplies Overseas. Thirdly, solidarity. We are one human family under God's creation. We need to keep in mind that as one, we need to look out for each other. Supplies Overseas sends their supplies with doctors and nurses to help save these lives as one human body. As such, this follows the Catholic social principle of solidarity. Lastly, we have care for God's creation. God left this earth for us to take care of. We are stewards and we need to look after it. Supplies Overseas takes this medical waste, which would end up in dumps, taking thousands of years to decompose, harming the environment and all the animals that live in it. Supplies Overseas removes these items and puts them to good use, saving lives and helping others. Supplies Overseas truly is an amazing organization.